The story begins on a space station where scientists are conducting a secret experiment on a rat. To ensure the experiment's success, they administer a virus to the rat. A virus so potent that it causes any animal receiving it to grow to many times its original size and become dangerous. This is exactly what happens. Once infected, the rat balloons in size. Before the scientists can bring it under control, the creature goes on a rampage, wreaking havoc across the space station. Many scientists are killed, leaving only one survivor. She rushes to the airlock and contacts the company's CEO, Claire, explaining that the experiment has failed. The rat has turned incredibly aggressive and slaughtered everyone else, leaving her as the sole survivor. She pleads for the airlock to be opened immediately so she can escape before the rat kills her too. However, the CEO is a greedy woman. She refuses to open the door unless the scientist retrieves the sample of the virus used in the experiment. She threatens that if the scientist disobeys, the door will remain closed and she will die right there. Reluctantly and at great personal risk, the scientist returns to retrieve 3 containers of the virus. Once she has secured them, the CEO, true to her word, prepares to She opens the door and quickly boards another small space station. Inside, she notices that the rat has grown significantly in size and is now trying to shatter the space station's glass to kill her. However, before it can break the glass, she detaches her small craft from the larger station and begins her descent toward Earth. As she descends, the intense air pressure causes cracks to appear in the small craft's windows. Moments later, the station explodes, killing the scientist. The 3 canisters containing the virus plummet rapidly toward the ground. One capsule lands in a forest. A wolf approaches it and becomes infected by the gas leaking from within. A second capsule falls into the ocean, infecting a crocodile, while the third lands in a zoo. There, a white gorilla approaches the capsule and inhales the escaping gas, becoming infected as well. Next, we are introduced to Davis, a former US military member who now works as a trainer for wild animals. He takes a group of tourists on a jungle tour, leading them to an area inhabited by numerous gorillas. The sight of so many gorillas terrifies the tourists, but Davis reassures them, telling them not to panic, as the animals won't harm them. Just then, a white gorilla appears before them, the very same one that had inhaled the gas from the capsule the previous night. However, the virus has not yet taken effect on the gorilla. Here we see Davis communicating with the white gorilla using hand signals. This white gorilla is highly intelligent and capable of understanding human speech. He shares a strong bond with Davis. When the gorilla was just an infant and his mother had been killed by poachers, Davis rescued him from the jungle, raised him, and named him George. Meanwhile, we see the company's CEO. She had previously told the woman stranded on the space station that she would not open the airlock unless the woman brought the virus capsules back with her. The CEO's brother is furious because their experimental mission has failed, and they believe the 3 virus capsules the woman was supposed to retrieve were destroyed in the explosion. However, the CEO shows her brother some images, explaining that although the scientist perished in the blast, the virus capsules she had secured are incredibly durable, and she is certain they survived intact. She then shows him a picture of the jungle and reveals they have received reports of a burning object falling from the sky the previous night. An object that is, in fact, one of those virus capsules. So we need to quickly send our team there to retrieve those virus capsules. Once we secure them, we can sell them on the market and make a fortune. The CEO's brother likes the idea, prompting the CEO to order a private army team to head into the jungle and fetch the capsules. Fully prepared, the team sets off by helicopter. The next morning, when Davis arrives at the zoo, a team member informs him that George, the white gorilla, is furious and has escaped his enclosure to enter the habitat of a large bear. Davis becomes worried about George, knowing how powerful and dangerous bears are, and fears the bear might have already killed him. However, when they enter the enclosure, they are left stunned. The bear lies dead on the ground, while George sits inside the bear's den. They are shocked, wondering how George became so powerful. We, of course, know that the virus is beginning to affect George, though Davis is completely unaware of this. Davis slowly approaches George and asks why he killed the bear. George explains that the bear attacked him first, so he killed it in self-defense. As George emerges from the den, Davis is shocked to see that his size has increased significantly. He also notices a marked change in George's behavior. The gorilla is no longer obeying him as he used to. Davis realizes that George's body is undergoing some kind of transformation. Just then, the team summons Davis via walkie-talkie to the gorilla enclosure, where all the gorillas are kept. When Davis arrives at the scene, a team member shows him a capsule they found, the very same one George had inhaled the previous night. Seeing it, Davis realizes this capsule is likely the cause of the changes in George. He secures the capsule and transports George, now confined in a large cage, to a hospital to investigate why his body is growing so rapidly. Blood tests reveal a foreign substance in his system that is driving this accelerated growth. Just then, a female scientist approaches Davis. Seeing the virus capsule in his hand, she demands it, claiming it belongs to her. Davis ignores her and starts to leave, but she follows him, pointing out that George is growing incredibly fast and has become stronger and more agile than ever. Davis listens closely, acknowledging that these changes are indeed occurring. She explains that she works for a company specializing in merging animal DNA. They created a virus by combining the DNA of a shark, a whale, a cheetah, and a bat. When tested on an animal, this virus causes it to grow ceaselessly, like a shark, while gaining the agility of a cheetah. This explains why George's aggression, agility, and size are increasing day by day. His height has surged from 7 feet last night to over 10 feet now. She insists she is the only one who can help George, claiming to have a vaccine that, while unable to shrink him back to his original size, would completely calm his aggression. George becomes enraged because he hasn't received any food and starts trying to break out of his cage. Davis attempts to calm him down, but George refuses to listen. He breaks free from the cage, exits the hospital, and heads out onto the street. Davis follows him outside, trying to stop him, but George has become completely uncontrollable. Just then, the police arrive and aim their guns at George. Davis stops them from shooting, insisting that he can calm George down. The police heed his words and lower their weapons, and Davis succeeds in calming George. However, at that moment, police officers arrive by helicopter. They shoot George with a tranquilizer dart, and shortly after, he loses consciousness. Meanwhile, the private army team sent by the company's CEO into the jungle to retrieve the virus capsule arrives at the designated location. They descend from their helicopter and begin searching every part of the forest for the capsule. The CEO and her brother monitor the team's progress via cameras. As the team moves deeper into the jungle, they discover a massive animal footprint on the ground. Alarmed by the size of the print, which belongs to a wolf, they realize that a wolf has inhaled the virus. The CEO then orders the team's captain to bring her the wolf, whether dead or alive. The team prepares to hunt and kill the wolf, but they are suddenly alerted by the sound of something approaching. A massive wolf attacks them, killing several team members. They scatter in a desperate attempt to escape, but the wolf picks them off one by one. A scene the CEO watches on her screen with dismay. Her distress stems not from the loss of her team, but from their failure to retrieve the virus capsule. The captain is the only survivor. He quickly summons the helicopter and races toward the extraction point, but the wolf begins to pursue him. Meanwhile, a helicopter arrives and begins firing at Wolf from above. However, the bullets have no effect on him. Enraged, Wolf charges and leaps straight onto the helicopter, causing it to crash completely. The captain of the private army team witnesses this, only for Wolf to appear from behind and swallow him whole. Elsewhere, we see that after George was tranquilized by a dart fired from the helicopter, the police had confined him in a cage. That cage is now being transported by plane for experimentation.